Dawn breaks over Rome, painting the marble streets in hues of gold and amber, while the sound of roosters echoes through the air. Senator Gaius Aurelius Varro steps outside his modest home, greeted by the lively bustle of the Forum. Merchants shout as they set up their stalls, the aroma of fresh bread mingling with the scent of wet earth. His neighbors share pleasantries, embodying the camaraderie that defines his community. As Gaius walks through the throngs of citizens, pondering the day ahead, his thoughts drift to the responsibilities that weigh upon him. A shadowy figure catches his eye, slipping through the crowd with an air of secrecy. The fleeting encounter sends a shiver down his spine, a chilling reminder of the political intrigue lurking just beneath the surface of daily life. Little does Gaius know, the challenges that await him will test not only his resolve, but the very fabric of his family and Rome itself. As Gaius Aurelius Varro stepped into the soft morning light, the grandeur of his toga enveloped him, its fabric a reminder of his status as a senator of Rome. He stood at the threshold of his home, inhaling the scent of fresh bread from Livia's morning preparations. She emerged from the kitchen, her presence a steady anchor amidst the swirling responsibilities of their lives. "You know the Senate awaits," she said, a light teasing inflection in her voice. "You worry for me," he replied, brushing a lock of hair from her face, but her eyes reflected concern deeper than mere anxiety. Their conversation turned to their children, their futures poised precariously at the edge of fortune and loss in the unpredictable world of elected positions. Livia clasped his hand tightly, warning him of the turbulent tides of politics. A shadow crossed Gaius's face as he considered the storm brewing just beyond the Forum, an omen of the challenges that awaited him. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the bustling Forum, Gaius Aurelius Varro made his way toward the Curia. The air vibrated with the sounds of merchants hawking their wares and citizens engaging in animated discussions about the affairs of the Republic. Each step felt heavier than the last, a reminder of the weighty responsibilities he carried as a senator. His mind raced with thoughts of the looming Senate session, where alliances would be tested and loyalties divided. Passing familiar faces, Gaius exchanged polite nods, but beneath the surface, tension simmered. The echoes of past debates haunted him, whispers of dissent punctuating the chatter around him. He recalled the lessons of history, of leaders who faltered under pressure and those who rose to greatness. Arriving at the grand entrance of the Curia, he inhaled deeply, steeling himself for the challenges that awaited within. Today, the fate of Rome hung precariously in the balance. Gaius walked through the Senate's grand marble halls, tension hanging like a heavy curtain. Whispers of treason danced through the air, igniting a flicker of fear within him. He overheard snippets of hushed conversations. His political rivals, their eyes glinting with malice, spoke of conspiracies. Rubbing his temples, Gaius felt the weight of his responsibility bearing down. Would he hold fast to his principles, or would he need to play the game of deceit to survive? No sooner had he resolved to uncover the truth than a familiar voice pierced the silence. Marcus, his ally, approached with urgency. "Have you heard the latest?" he whispered, casting wary glances. They stepped into a shadowy alcove, the outside clamor fading. Marcus's urgent words unfurled a tale of betrayal that sent shivers down Gaius's spine. As he listened, Gaius's heartbeat quickened. The realm of loyalty felt precarious. He knew the shadows were closing in, and time was running out. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the Forum erupted into a cacophony of sounds, a vibrant testament to the pulse of Rome. Gaius Aurelius Varro navigated the narrow pathways among bustling stalls, vendors shouting their wares, and patrons haggling over prices. The atmosphere crackled with tension as political factions clashed, voices raised in heated debate over the latest Senate decisions. Gaius paused, watching a group of citizens fiercely arguing about burdensome taxes. His heart ached for their struggles, reflecting his own internal conflict. The air was thick, not just with the aroma of fresh bread and spiced wine, but also with the palpable discontent that simmered just beneath the surface. As he continued onward, he overheard a merchant lamenting the rising costs, his words echoing the sentiments of many. Gaius felt the weight of the people's unrest upon his shoulders, knowing he must find a way to bridge the widening chasm between the Senate and the citizens. ensuring the stability of both his family and the Republic. Gaius stepped through the grand entrance of the temple, the aroma of incense swirling in his nostrils as the flickering torches illuminated the marble columns. He paused, taking in the solemn beauty of the place where devout Romans gathered to seek divine favor. As he moved deeper inside, the murmurs of prayers filled the air, a comforting backdrop amid his turmoil. Gaius approached the altar, offering his heartfelt supplications to Vesta, the goddess of the hearth, hoping for clarity in the storm of political challenges that loomed over him. As he knelt, he thought of Livia and their children, the weight of their futures pressing heavily on his conscience. Just then, a sudden gust swept through the temple, extinguishing a nearby flame and sending a shiver down his spine. Was it an omen? With newfound resolve, Gaius rose, determined to seek the truth and navigate the dangerous waters threatening his beloved Rome. As the sun hung low in the mid-afternoon sky, casting elongated shadows through the bustling forum, Gaius Aurelius Varro welcomed the familiar figure of Marcus, a trusted family friend and fellow senator. Their reunion, marked by a warm yet guarded embrace, quickly plunged into the pressing matters of state. Over cups of strong wine in a quiet corner of the nearby taberna, Marcus leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Gaius, the currents are shifting. I've heard whispers of distrust among our peers, alliances fraying like old parchment." Gaius nodded, his heart racing at the implications. "Are we talking about treason?" The weight of these words seemed to hang in the air, a thick fog of impending danger. Marcus's eyes widened, revealing his fear. "Be vigilant. There are snakes among us." As they shared concerns of loyalty and ambition, tension laced their conversation, foreshadowing the storm that lay ahead. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the Varro household, Gaius Aurelius Varro cherished this stolen moment of tranquility. He and Livia prepared for an evening together, surrounded by the fragrant aroma of roasted lamb and spiced wine. Their laughter filled the home as they shared stories of their children, the joys and trials of parenthood unfolding in their conversation. With each word, Gaius felt a sense of comfort and strength in Livia's unwavering support, a reminder of what truly mattered amidst the chaos of politics. Just as they raised their cups in a toast to family, an urgent knock echoed through the hall, shattering their intimacy. A messenger stood at the door, eyes wide with urgency. As Gaius turned to receive the troubling news, the warmth of the evening faded, replaced by the cold reality of looming decisions that awaited him. With a heavy heart, he knew the tranquility they had just shared was fleeting. The Senate chamber buzzes with tension as Gaius steps inside, the weight of 1,000 eyes upon him. Senators, a sea of discontent and rivalry, murmur among themselves, casting glances that vary from disdain to begrudging respect. Today, the stakes are higher, alliances are frail, and hidden agendas coil like the serpents in the sacred rites. As Gaius takes his place, an uneasy silence falls. He recalls Livia's whispered concerns about the political landscape, the potential for turmoil clinging to the air like humidity before a storm. Rising to speak, his heart pounds. Each word must bear the weight of his convictions. His voice steadies as he articulates his vision for Rome's future, a call for unity amidst chaos. Opponents scoff, but Gaius stands firm, recognizing that this moment could alter the course of his legacy. The chamber vibrates with uncertainty, and he feels the pulse of the Republic racing alongside his own heart. As Gaius stepped out of the Senate, a sense of unease clung to him like the humidity of a summer afternoon. The corridors echoed with whispers, but one voice, low and urgent, caught his attention. He turned a corner and confronted a masked stranger, cloaked in the shadows of the archway. The figure extended a scroll, the tension in the air palpable. "Beware, Senator Varro," the stranger warned, his voice barely above a whisper, before slipping away into the throng of bustling citizens. Gaius unrolled the parchment, its contents a mix of ominous warnings and veiled threats directed at him. The words seemed to twist in his mind, planting seeds of paranoia deep within. Who could be trusted in this fragile political landscape? With the weight of uncertainty pressing down, Gaius knew he had to act swiftly, for the shadows were lengthening, and he was no longer merely a senator. He was a man marked by unseen enemies. As the sun dipped low in the sky, the Varro household buzzed with life, preparing for the evening celebration. Gaius moved through the vibrant tapestry of laughter and warmth, his heart swelling with gratitude for this rare moment of joy amidst the political tempest brewing outside. Livia, radiant in her flowing gown, directed the servants as they arranged tables of sumptuous feasts, their children playing nearby, unaware of the world's troubles. Music began to fill the air, intertwining with the tantalizing scents wafting from the kitchen. Guests arrived, filling the home with chatter and camaraderie. Gaius gazed at Livia, whose smile like sunlight reassured him amidst the chaos. Yet just as laughter erupted in the room, a familiar senator appeared uninvited, bearing whispers of impending unrest. As the tension in the air thickened, Gaius understood that even the brightest moments could be marred by shadows yet unseen, echoing the complexities of his life. As the sun reached its zenith, the marketplace thrummed with energy, vendors hawking their wares amidst the vibrant, colorful stalls. Gaius wove through the throngs, absorbing the sounds of bartering voices, the calls of merchants, and the scent of fresh bread mingling with spices. He stopped at a stall, charmed by the produce, but his thoughts lingered on the whispers swirling around him. Rumors of treachery had reached his ears, and the implications weighed heavily on his mind. Glancing discreetly around, he spotted a group of familiar faces huddled together, their hushed tones thick with conspiratorial tension. Intrigued, Gaius maneuvered closer, catching snippets of their conversation, talk of alliances forged in deceit and plans to undermine him. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the noise, urging him to take heed of the dangers lurking in the capital. The atmosphere grew palpable, the air crackling with uncertainty, and Gaius's heart raced as he realized he must act swiftly to secure his political standing amidst the brewing chaos. Gaius settled into the dimly lit chamber, the flickering oil lamp casting shadows on the walls as he awaited his silent ally. The air was thick with tension, a palpable reminder of the stakes involved. The door creaked open, and a senator from a rival faction stepped inside, his expression cautious. "You've been a thorn in our side, Vero," he started, his voice low, "but perhaps we can find common ground." Gaius scrutinized the man, aware of the fragile web of alliances and betrayals that circulated in the Senate. Their conversation circled around policy and loyalty, each word laced with underlying motives. Though they shared a moment of understanding, Gaius could feel the unease. Trust, like a thread ready to snap, hung tenuously between them. A warning echoed in his mind as the discussion turned sharper, revealing just how vulnerable they both were in a world brimming with deceit. As the meeting ended, Gaius stepped back into the shadows, his resolve hardening. As the sun reached its zenith, the forum erupted in a cacophony of voices, a tide of discontent washing over the gathered crowd. Gaius stepped into the fray, the air thick with tension as citizens expressed their outrage over rising taxes. He listened intently, each plea echoing the plight of his fellow Romans, tugging at the strings of his conscience. Torn between the expectations of his peers and the cries of the people, he felt a sense of urgency swell within him. "Change must begin here," Gaius articulated, addressing the throng. His words resonated, a beacon of hope mingled with the anxiety of the moment. He could sense the weight of history bearing down on him, urging him to stand for reform, yet the shadowy whispers of political allyships loomed just beyond reach. With resolve hardening in his chest, Gaius prepared to champion the cause of the common people, aware that this path could sever the bonds with those who held power. Tensions in Rome reached a boiling point as whispers of dissent echoed through the streets. Rumors spread like wildfire, painting Gaius as a traitor among both friends and foes. The marketplace, usually filled with laughter and vibrant trade, now buzzed with uneasy murmurs. Citizens exchanged glances, apprehensive of an uncertain future, their anger palpable. Gaius felt the weight of their discontent bearing down on him, a stark contrast to the trust he once shared with many. Determined to quell the rising tide of suspicion, he arranged to meet with loyal supporters, recognizing the need for solidarity amidst the chaos. Yet, as he walked through the familiar corridors of power, doubt gnawed at him. Who truly stood by his side? The betrayal he sensed loomed larger than ever, creating an isolation that threatened his very principles. Gaius resolved to confront the rumors, knowing that the truth would require courage in a world fueled by deception. Amidst the lively bustle of Rome, Gaius found himself drawn to the theater, a rare escape from the weight of political turmoil. As he navigated the vibrant throng, the sound of laughter and music wafted through the air, temporarily lifting his troubled spirits. There, amidst the flickering torches, he encountered Celine, a young woman with bright eyes and an infectious smile. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, a refreshing distraction from the ever-looming shadows of his responsibilities. Gaius felt an undeniable connection, a stir of emotions he hadn't anticipated. He was acutely aware of the promises he had made to Livia and the expectations of his position. As Celine's laughter rang like music in his ears, Gaius wrestled with an internal conflict, the temptation of newfound affection versus the unwavering duty toward his family. This brief moment of joy ignited a flicker of hope, yet also deepened his unease about the choices that lay ahead. Gaius stood at the crossroads of a momentous decision, his heart heavy with the weight of his responsibilities. The proposed legislation on public welfare had ignited fierce debates among senators, but his conscience urged him to take a bold stance. Livia, sensing his turmoil, engaged him in a heartfelt discussion, her voice steady yet filled with concern. "You have a duty not just to your status, but to the people of Rome," she reminded him, her gaze unwavering. As he listened, Gaius could envision both the starving families reliant on his voice and the powerful allies poised to sever ties if he acted against their interests. He wandered through the bustling forum, feeling the pulse of the citizenry, hope and frustration intertwined. With every step, he recalled the faces of those who supported him. As he reached a quiet nook beneath the ancient pillars, clarity washed over him. It was time to choose the path of integrity, no matter the consequences. As the sun rose over Rome, the city prepared for the vibrant Festival of Vesta, a celebration that breathed life into the streets with colorful banners and the aroma of roasted meats. Gaius Aurelius Varro wandered through the bustling crowds, feeling a bittersweet weight settle over him. Livia and their children moved joyously among the throngs, laughter ringing out amidst the musicians' melodies, yet his heart was heavy with unresolved dilemmas. The joyous atmosphere clashed with the tension simmering below the surface, as whispers of dissent and looming crises echoed in his mind. At the Temple of Vesta, Gaius offered a prayer for guidance, the flickering torchlight illuminating his troubled thoughts. Just as he began to feel the warmth of the celebration envelop him, a messenger burst through the festival revelry, bringing urgent news of political unrest that threatened to shatter the euphoria and pull him back into the fray. Dark clouds gathered ominously over Rome, mirroring the turmoil that swirled around Gaius Aurelius Varro. As he stood by the window, watching the sky flash with sudden bursts of light, he couldn't shake the feeling that change was impending, perhaps even violent. The air thickened, not just with humidity, but with whispered discontent from the people below. Their voices rose, agitated and fierce, echoing the pressures he felt within the Senate. He paced his chamber, grappling with the weight of his precarious position, alliances trembling like leaves caught in the wind. Each thunderous clap seemed to shake the very foundations of his resolve. Fractured loyalties hovered like shadows, and Gaius found himself wrestling with the implications of political decision-making amidst a brewing storm. He felt the gnawing unease. The storm was more than just atmospheric. It was a signal of unrest, heralding the battles ahead, not only for Rome, but for his family and his legacy. The storm unleashed its fury, rain lashing against the marketplace, mirroring the turmoil brewing in Gaius Aurelius Varro's heart. As he hurried through the streets, he felt the weight of his political decisions crashing down upon him like the thunder that rumbled overhead. The accident, a slip on the slick cobblestones, left him momentarily dazed, a stark reminder of how quickly the tides could turn in both politics and life. Vulnerability pooled within him. He instinctively felt the distance growing between himself and his allies, as if the storm had driven a wedge between them. Gaius sought refuge in the familiar faces of loyal supporters, yet he knew that each day brought new challenges. As the winds howled, he grappled with the realization that if he were to weather this storm, he'd need to confront both the encroaching darkness of betrayal and the unexpected fragility of his position. Desperation brewed, urging him to unite those who would stand with him against the coming tempest. The tension in the air was palpable as Gaius pieced together the web of betrayal that had ensnared him. Late at night, he cornered Lucius, a trusted ally turned informant, in a dimly lit courtyard. "Your whispers have cost me everything," Gaius accused, a mix of pain and fury in his voice. Lucius, with a disingenuous smile, feigned innocence. "I merely seek stability for Rome, Gaius. You were naive to think your ideals would protect you." The words struck Gaius harder than any physical blow. He felt the weight of his trust shatter, each betrayal echoing like a staccato heartbeat in the stillness. Confronted with the reality of Lucius's ambitions, Gaius faced a monumental choice: exact revenge and risk losing everything he valued, or uphold his own principles despite the cost. As dawn crested the horizon, Gaius understood that the path to his salvation lay not in vengeance, but in reclaiming the integrity he had nearly lost. The strains of political life bore heavily on Gaius as he returned home, the weight of the day lingering like a shadow. Within the walls of their household, silence hung thick, broken only by hushed exchanges between Livia and their children. "You cannot continue this way, Gaius," Livia implored, pain in her voice. "Your choices affect us all." Her eyes, usually filled with warmth, were now clouded with worry, reflecting the turmoil of their lives. He felt her frustration, a mirror to his own doubts, and a tumultuous dialogue ensued, echoing the discord within the Senate. "I must do what is right for Rome," he countered, feeling the sting of her disapproval. "But at what cost?" As the evening deepened, the divide between duty and family widened, leaving Gaius grappling with the consequences of choices that could either unite or fracture everything he held dear. A restless resolve stirred within him, igniting plans for reconciliation. In the dim light of dawn, Gaius Aurelius Varro felt clarity wash over him, a rare moment of peace amidst the chaos of his life. He had wrestled with the weight of his responsibilities for too long, teetering between allyship and integrity. Today, he resolved to confront his enemies directly, no longer willing to dwell in the shadows of political maneuvering. Gathering his most trusted supporters in the tranquil confines of his villa, he articulated a plan steeped in honor and courage, reigniting the fire of determination among them. The room pulsed with the unspoken acknowledgement they would face the tempest together. As Gaius spoke, he felt the burden lift, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. With his heart pounding and resolve crystal clear, he readied himself for the challenges ahead, aware that this moment would define not only his legacy, but the very direction of Rome. The stage was set for an inevitable clash where truth would unveil itself amid intrigue and betrayal. As Gaius stepped into the Senate chamber, tension crackled in the air, palpable as the restless whispers of the senators echoed off the marbled walls. Rival factions faced off, their eyes burning with determination and distrust, each aware that this vote would alter the course of their lives. Gaius felt the weight of his allies behind him, yet the shadows of betrayal loomed large. Breathing deeply, he approached the rostrum, grounding himself in the memories of his dedication to Rome. The deliberations ignited. Voices rose and fell, each senator fighting to sway opinions, their arguments steeped in history and ambition. As Gaius prepared to speak, he could feel the eyes of his rivals trained on him, readiness to pounce on any sign of weakness. But he stood firm, sharing a vision of unity and prosperity, appealing to their loyalty to Rome itself. The moment hung heavy, the vote was looming, and with it, the fates of many. The aftermath of the Senate's decisive vote reverberated through the cobbled streets of Rome, shifting the landscape of Gaius's political future. As whispers spread, Gaius felt the weight of scrutiny intensify around him. In a moment of vulnerability, he reached out to estranged allies, eager to mend the bonds strained by conflict. Each conversation was imbued with solemnity and hope, offering glimpses of reconciliation amidst the tension. Livia stood steadfast by his side, her unwavering support a balm to his troubled spirit. They gathered their children around the hearth, sharing stories of bravery and unity, reminding everyone that family is the heart of their legacy. Slowly, trust began to weave its way back into the fabric of their lives, as tentative smiles and renewed commitments ignited sparks of collaboration among the factions. As Gaius reflected on this fragile yet hopeful atmosphere, he knew the journey ahead would require resilience, unity, and a shared vision for a flourishing future. As the dust settled after the tumultuous Senate debates, Gaius found solace in the quiet of his study, the weight of recent sacrifices heavy on his heart. He could almost hear the echo of his ancestors, the whispers of their triumphs and failures, a constant reminder of the legacy he cherished. With Livia by his side, they spoke of the future, their children's paths intertwined with the fate of Rome itself. What we do today shapes tomorrow, Gaius mused, tracing his fingers over the smooth surface of a family heirloom, a token of resilience passed down through generations. He pondered the consequences of his political choices, recognizing that integrity often demanded the highest price. As Livia shared her dreams for their children, he felt a flicker of hope ignite within him, a promise that the trials they faced would forge a legacy of honor, illuminating the path for generations yet to come. As dawn broke over the sprawling city of Rome, the warm light unfurled across the forum, illuminating the marble stones and awakening the echoes of the past. Gaius Aurelius Varro stood at the edge of his balcony, inhaling the fresh morning air, feeling a profound sense of rebirth. The trials and tribulations he'd faced had forged a resilience within him, a clarity that illuminated his path forward. He could hear the distant sounds of vendors setting up their stalls, a reminder of the vibrant life that pulsed through the city. The thought of his family filled him with warmth. Their laughter and unwavering support had been his constant anchor amidst the storms of political strife. Gaius envisioned a new Rome, one built on unity and understanding, where the welfare of the populace was paramount. Today would mark the beginning of that journey, a vow to weave together the threads of community and hope for the Republic's future.